Happy Migraine Awareness Month, everyone. We have been meeting so many inspirational people that have these really great channels, particularly on Insta. And we have another one with us today. Anna Bezer is Migraine Believer. How are you, Anna?
I'm really good, thanks. Yeah, how are you?
Very well. Thank you for making the time for us during Migraine Awareness Month. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you live? You're an Australian Insta, not one of the Americans that we've been talking to.
Yeah, I'm in Sydney. I guess I'm a migrainer. I'm a full-time mum, so I stay at home looking after my 4-year-old. Her name's Lily, and she's a bit of a wild one, so it keeps me pretty busy. It's funny, people often ask me, what do you do? And that's a really tricky one when you have a chronic illness because I don't work at the moment. And so, yeah, full-time mum is kind of my thing at the moment.
That's a decent job. It's a full-time job.
Yeah, it's
all right.
it's hard. Yeah, it's it's not easy being a full-time mum in itself, and then having a chronic illness on top of that. It's not just an easy thing to do by itself. So keeps me pretty busy.
I'm sure it does. So let's talk about your migraine. It's chronic migraine, yeah?
It is, yeah. So I guess sorry, you go.
When did it start for you? When did you start getting attacks?
I had my first migraine attack about 6 or 7 years old. And I think I remember it quite clearly. It was just pretty painful. I was at home, thank goodness. So both of my parents suffer from migraines. So it's in the family. I have a couple of brothers and sisters that have the odd attack here and there. So I'm kind of the lucky one that struck out with the bad attacks, unfortunately. But having two parents that have migraine, so I was really young when I had my first attack. And then throughout my teenage years, I was quite lucky. There wasn't really a lot of attacks happening, maybe once a year. So it's quite manageable. But I kind of thought it was something that you just kind of lived with. You just kind of had to put up with it. It wasn't something that I ever really had treatment for. It was just, take a Panadol or an aspirin and sleep it off kind of thing.
And so then, when did it start getting chronic?
Yeah, so throughout my 20s, I was quite lucky at uni. And then I had my daughter in 2016. And then after that, the migraine attacks just became more frequent. And then 2018, it became chronic. So, just that kind of, progression happened. Yeah.
Yeah, the spiral that we hear so often. It is a very common tale, unfortunately. How did you find accessing good medical care as you declined?
Yeah, for me, it was I was really, really not kind of aware of what to do. I saw my GP, and there wasn't really a lot of good information that I was able to access. I really wasn't aware of what to do. So I was really kind of in the dark. I had quite a few hospital admissions. So I kind of took myself up to emergency, my local hospital, because I was just in that excruciating pain. I just didn't know what to do. And from there, I met a neurologist at the hospital, which I'm so thankful for because I have a really good connection with him now. So from there, I was able to access some good treatments. Went through quite a few, a long list of medications. I was on propranolol, Topamax, a few other ones.
I saw on your Insta channel you tried Aimovig. You were in one of the PFP trials.
That's right. So I did Aimovig for 6 months. Unfortunately, nothing really took for me there. So we gave that kind of a flick.
Yeah, you gave it a good go. Yeah.
I gave it a good go. Nothing really worked for me there. And I will say that I was kind of experiencing about 25 to 30 migraine attacks a month. So nothing worked then. Then I went on to Botox.
Mhm.
Again, there was no real effect with that either. So I was kind of at my wit's end thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Had another couple of hospital admissions. And now, and then I tried Emgality, and I gave it a really good crack. I gave it 8 months, paid the full price. Again, there was no effect for me there, unfortunately. And then as soon as I stopped Emgality, now it's on the PBS. But I gave it a good crack. It didn't really give any effect for me, unfortunately. But now I'm trying nerve block injections with my neurologist, and it's proving to help just a little bit. So there's a bit of hope there for me. So
something works, even if it does
working.
help just a little bit. It's worth giving a shot. Sorry.
Yeah, and for the last month, I went down to about 20 attacks in the month. So even if it's just a little bit of help, it's worthwhile.
Yeah. An argument that we've had to make to PVAC quite forcefully, for those watching overseas not familiar with the conversation, PVAC is the Pharmaceutical Benefits Advisory Committee who decides which drugs we can get on our public system called the PBS, and they didn't seem to get that, having a 5-day reduction out of 25 is actually really good. That's amazing. Whereas the current deal with Emgality, one of the things that people need to keep in mind is if you don't have a 50% reduction in frequency of attacks, you won't be able to continue on the medication on the PBS. That's pretty abhorrent to everybody in the migraine community, and we will keep making that argument. The same restriction applies to Botox. You need a 50% reduction in order to continue getting Botox in the PBS. Anyway, enough political ranting. That's pretty bad migraine, right?
It's tough.
How do you then go from being that debilitated by migraine to being so positive on Instagram?
It's, it's so tough. And, I try so hard to my kind of spin on things on Instagram is really trying to push that kind of mindfulness view. I've done a lot of work on myself with that. I'm not going to say I'm an expert by any means, but previously, before I had my daughter, I was a primary school teacher. And we did a lot of work with children on mindfulness and positive thinking and gratitude within our daily teaching. And so it's kind of something that kind of, I guess, morphed into my daily life. And when I became chronically ill, my anxiety, I suffer from anxiety as well. And I have an underlying condition of depression. So you can imagine that my chronic illness really, took hold of those mental illnesses, and you can, those progressed as well. So trying really hard to have that positive thinking can be really difficult. And what you see on Instagram is only part of, someone's life. But I try really hard to also show that I have those bad days. And more often than not, I have more bad days than good days. But the positive thinking and the mindfulness has helped me so much. And talking to a psychologist, having a healthy diet, taking my medications, having a supportive family, all of those things have helped. That kind of holistic approach is something that's helped me a lot, not just that one thing.
It's a really healthy approach to migraine management, kind of seeing the whole picture, particularly when you're dealing with anxiety, because most people with migraine have anxiety, and anxiety feeds migraine, migraine feeds anxiety, and it's a pretty deathly cycle. Alrighty, let's wind up with a tip for somebody that's probably thinking about starting their own migraine Insta channel. What would you recommend to them?
Yeah, I would recommend that just to kind of get on there, go for it. When I first started, I was definitely more of a patient than an advocate, looking for support, for friendship. And then the more that I kind of connected with people, I started sharing the story. But one thing I would say is that, you know, if you've got 20 followers or 2,000, it doesn't matter, you know, you're reaching somebody. And that's what I found when I first joined. No matter who kind of I connected with, I felt that sense of community and that sense of kind of comfort. And I was always learning something from somebody. So get on there, give it a go, share your story. And I think those personal stories are something that people really connect with. What's worked for you, what hasn't worked for you. Yeah, that can really help somebody. So give it a go.
Thank you so much for making the time to talk to us during Migraine Awareness Month.
Yeah, you're so welcome.